Hello everybody, DFGas here with another video. This video is going to be installing LinuxMint in a virtual machine. You can also use it to install as a normal host OS on a computer as well. Only difference would be is you download the ISO and burn it to a disk, or use UNetBootin, UNetBootin, to flash that to a flash drive. And so long as your BIOS can handle booting off of a USB drive. So this is pretty much how it goes. We're going to load up VirtualBox. We're going to go to New. We're going to name it LinuxMint. 17.2. Alright, now when you do this, because LinuxMint isn't a major version of a Linux distribution, LinuxMint is actually based off of Ubuntu. So it does not know that by the name, so I would suggest just going to Ubuntu 64, because that's the version we're going to be using, is 64-bit. We'll hit next. You can set your amount of RAM that you want in here. I'm going to go up to 1024. Honestly, you don't really need a whole lot, but it also depends on what you're going to do in it. So you guys can set it to what you want there. I wouldn't suggest getting too crazy with it, but again, I'm going to use 1024. So we'll hit next. We're going to create the virtual disk now. On Windows 10, I do have an issue of creating the virtual disk drives. I don't know why, but sometimes it crashes when it does it. It's just Windows 10. Anyway, so we'll go on with here. We're going to go with VDI. We'll do the VirtualBox one. For here, this is a big thing. Now, depending on the age of your computer, I do suggest using a computer that has a processor that's capable of virtualization. Secondly, make sure you go in your BIOS and make sure that your virtualization stuff is enabled in the BIOS, because a lot of the newer computers, it is not enabled. At least that I've seen so far. I've gotten two brand new Asus boards here. Same thing, nothing's enabled. Alright, so with this, there's two different ways that you can do this. Now, let's say that I make my virtual hard drive a 50 gig disk. Now, with a fixed disk size, I'm making a 50 gig disk. It's going to make that a 50 gig file straight off the bat. With dynamically allocated, I make that 50 gig hard disk. It may only be a few meg. It's going to expand as I install the OS on it. So dynamically allocated is kind of awesome, because you're only using the amount of disk space that you really need to use, whereas fixed size, you've already allocated the full amount to it. So they both have their plus and minuses. The biggest plus out of using a fixed size is it's a lot faster, because with an allocated one, or with the dynamic one, it has to keep expanding that as well as putting the files inside of that file. Whereas fixed disk already has that file at that set size, so it doesn't need to expand it anymore. It just needs to put the data that you're putting into it. I'm going to go with dynamically allocated, because most of the stuff is just going to get deleted at the end of the video anyways. This one's going to stick around because I have another video of customizing it afterwards. So I'm going to go with dynamically allocated. I am going to set it up to 50. Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed, but my pointer is massively huge. That was the latest version of Windows 10 did that. Anyways, So I went with a 50 gig. I'm going to go and create it. Alright, for you guys that went with fixed disk size, it's going to take a little bit. I suggest you pause the video right now and wait for it to finish and go ahead and continue. Alright, so next we're going to go into settings. We'll go into system, make sure enable IO APIC is enabled. I'm going to go into processor. I actually have an 8-core processor in this computer. So I am actually going to bump it up to 2 CPUs. You can enable the PAENX. You don't have to. It's physical address extension. I usually check it. I don't know if it really makes a difference at all. Execution cap, you can also go and set that. So let's say we set it at 40%. I set that at 40%. 40% is the max that virtual machine can use of your processor. It can't go any higher than that. I usually leave it at 100%, mostly because I'm using an 8-core processor and I don't usually have an issue with that. On my if I use it on a dual core, guaranteed I'm going to set it at probably about 50%. Alright, so the next thing. I would probably suggest using 3D acceleration. Depending on the video card that you have in there, I could crank mine all the way up to 128 meg. Never going to notice a difference. For you guys that don't have a nice video card in there, let's say you just got onboard video, I'd probably stay at about 32 meg then. Monitor count, it really kind of depends on you. Depends on how many monitors you have. I've never actually used that with a dual monitor setup. I don't have a dual monitor setup right now, so I don't know how well that works. Storage, we're going to go into the CD one there. We'll click on the little disk over here and choose virtual optical disk file. Mine is down in my downloads folder, so we'll double click on that, and it is a live CD/DVD. Alright, audio, I probably wouldn't mess any settings on there. Network, your best bet of your network is running a bridged adapter, and what that's going to act like is it's a fully separate computer on your network, so it's going to get a true IP from your router. That is the way I suggest to do it. If you're using a wired connection on your computer, make sure that you have the wired connection on there. If you use Wi-Fi, make sure that the Wi-Fi is selected in there instead of your wired connection. Serial ports, really depends on if you need a serial port or not. I do not do that at all. We've tried it out on a friend's computer and it really just wasn't the best. USB 2.0, it really kind of depends on what you're going to do in here. I'm just going to leave it at 2.0. Shared folders. You can do this. I don't know how well, I don't know if this actually works in Linux or not. So I'm going to click on my folder there and just hit OK. I'm going to tell it to auto mount, but I don't think it actually auto mounts anyways. On Windows guests, yes, it totally works on Windows guests. We'll hit OK. We're going to hit OK again, and we're done. So now we're going to hit Start. Now for your users that want to install Linux straight on your computer without running it through a virtual machine, this is about where you would start paying attention. So I'm just going to let it automatically boot because it's going to boot it up. Well, actually, we'll go in here. These are your choices you have. Linux disks are really good for if you have a question whether your memory is good or not, you can go in there and use a memory test. We're just going to go with the default option of what it would have done if we let it auto start. Start LinuxMint. You may get a couple of errors when it goes to boot up. It's fine. it is booting. As you can see down here in the down here, it's showing that the CD is reading. It will take a little bit to boot up. It depends on the computer. Obviously mine's probably going to be a bit faster because, again, I'm running an 8-core processor. I know I'm only using 2 cores of it, but it is pretty fast. I go over to my quad core on my other desk and it's going to be a lot slower. So if you need to, go ahead, pause the video and wait for it to finish booting up. When you're done, just go ahead and resume. First thing that we're going to do is going to install LinuxMint. Wait for that to come up. If your language is English, go ahead, continue. We have at least 9.5 of available drive space, and we are connected to the internet. Since this is a brand new machine, virtual machine, we're just going to go and erase disk and install LinuxMint. You could do like logical volume if you want. I don't do the logical volume stuff. It does have its bonuses. I would say that it definitely has its bonuses in a server environment. I'm not doing that. We're just going to go with the top option for myself. If you go down to something else, you can customize your own. If you're going to customize your own, you want to make sure that you at least have your root partition and that you have a swap area. I know some of the other Linux distributions will create one for your home, one for your user, like 5 to 6, 7 possibly different partitions. Ubuntu basically does a basic 2. It's going to have my ext4, that's going to be my root partition, and that's going to have my swap. I don't know exactly what size each one's going to be. Honestly, I don't really care. I got it set up as a 50 gig. Probably 48 gig of it's going to go to my ext4, and 2 gig of it's probably going to go to my swap. I don't know. So hit continue. Select your time zone. It would be in the time zone that has Chicago. Select your keyboard layout, languages. Type in your full name. I will just put in dfgas. You can put in your computer's name. Pick your username, passwords, of course. Make sure your caps lock or numlock is on when you're trying to use it. This all really depends on if you're going to have multiple users or not. I'm going to select mine to log in automatically. You could go to require password and then encrypt your home folder. I've never encrypted my home folder, so I don't know how long that would take in a virtual machine. So we'll go ahead and just continue. From here on to the rest, it's just going to finish installing. It was already installing while we were doing the selecting time zone, creating our account and stuff like that. Let's see if it actually says what it's doing. Yep, there we go. You can have it tell you what it's doing and stuff. I'm going to pause the video and then I'll come back after it's done. So we'll see you in a little bit. Alright, and we're back. The video is, or the install is done. So we'll just go ahead and hit restart now. Now for you VirtualBox users, it's going to have a little issue with rebooting. For you guys that used a actual disk to install, it should work just fine because it'll eject the disk and then you hit enter and then it should restart. You may have an issue for the guys who use the UNetBootin. So here we go. restart. Next time I'll remember to mute the audio on my phone. Sorry about that. Actually, we'll do that right now because apparently I'm important. Alright, so as I said before, here it is. It's kind of locked up in a sense. It's just black. I hit enter and it's not going to do anything. So what we're going to do is we'll go up here to, I believe it's machine, and just hit reset. For you disk users, you probably didn't have an issue at all rebooting. Whatever. So we're going to just hit reset. Actually, we're going to close this out. We'll go to power off. And the reason why we're going to do that is because we're going to remove the disk now. This is for you VirtualBox users. So go into settings, go down to storage, click on the disk here, click on the disk over here, and remove disk from virtual drive. Hit OK. Hit start. So now that we took that out, this may come up. Just hit enter. I don't know why sometimes you have to hit enter, sometimes it'll just boot right up. I really don't know why. So here it is, it's booting up. Again, depends on your computer. Might take a while, could be quick, it all depends. If you're booting it up and you did it as your host OS, then yeah, it's probably going to be a lot quicker. But again, it all depends on the system too. For you guys with older P4s and stuff like that, there are different Linux distributions to use other than this. This one's probably a little bit more heavyweight than some of the other ones. I did use Ubuntu on an old P4 system that I set up for somebody. Just so you know, it all depends. Alright, so when you boot up LinuxMint for the first time, this is all the info you get. You can look through the info if you want to know more information about whatever. You know, I'm just going to click on show this dialog startup and show this dialog at startup. I've used Linux ever since let's say 1998. I've been using Linux a long time, so I know a lot of the stuff about LinuxMint and stuff. I've been using LinuxMint for quite a few years now. So I'm just going to close this out. Some of the stuff I want to show you over here. This is information about your network. Now, for you guys that installed this as a host OS, you can be able to see if you have wireless in your computer, you can see all your wireless connections and connect to them and so on. This is your audio. You can obviously change volume there. If you go into sound settings, I believe a mixer comes up. Yeah. So you can go and set your audio. My microphone's actually working in here. I'm really quite amazed because it's never worked before. So close that out. This would be for if you have multiple users on here, you can go and change your users and so on. This one right here is your updater. You can click on it, go to install updates, it'll install all your updates. Sometimes it's going to ask for your password. Let's see exactly how it's worded. Alright, so it just asks for passwords. So the password that you're going to put in there, make sure your numlock is on, is your normal user password that you used. Anytime you do anything in terminal, which is kind of like DOS for you guys that know a lot about Windows, if you have to do sudo, do stuff with super user, Your super user password is actually going to be your normal password. Your super user technically doesn't have a password, so technically you can't get into it, but you have super user rights, super do user rights, so you would use your password every time. So we'll go and continue doing the updates on here. You don't have to do them right away. I would suggest doing them. While it's doing this stuff, I'm just going to close out of this for now. I don't need to do it right now. I can do it at any time. So we'll go into menu here. Now this is kind of like your start menu on Windows, except that everything's categorized a lot differently. Makes it a lot easier, totally easier to find than it is on Windows, especially Windows 10, because they just alphabetically throw everything into a list. This will be your quit button. You can go to shut down the computer, reboot it. Your log out. This will just lock the screen. I'll show you what the lock screen looks like. It's not even going to do that. So, anyways, I'm not really sure how I get the lock screen to come up. Apparently I need to put an away message, which is weird. Usually if you let your screen sit long enough, this is going to come up. This is your lock screen. You can just move your mouse, do whatever, type in your password, and you're unlocked again. So that's pretty much it. I'll show you what terminal looks like. This is terminal. On Windows, if you type ipconfig, you can get info about your network adapters. On Linux, it's ifconfig. I think what else here? If you're trying to find out what is using a lot of resources, you can type in top, and it'll give you your resources list here. If you hit Q, you'll be able to quit. I'm really not sure what else I need to show you guys. Exit out. Oh, I will show you what the super user thing was. Let's say, I don't know, let's just say LS. So LS would be like dir in DOS. So password for dfgas. Put in your password, it does the command that you told it to do. LS is exactly like what dir was on DOS. You can do dir or ls -al. And that gives you file permissions and stuff like that, who owns what, and so on. That's pretty much it for that. If you want to install stuff, probably easiest suggestion would be is to go into the menu, administration, Synaptic Package Manager, type in your password. Anytime you're doing a system-wide change, you need your password, kind of like Windows, except it's a lot more strict on Linux. I'm just going to hit close because I already know this information. For you people that are new to Linux, it probably would be a good thing to make sure to click show this dialog as startup, so you may get to understand it a little bit better. Let's say I want to install a game. You can search for what you want. Type in solitaire. Not sure if I spelled it right. So this would come up, and you can pick your games that you want to install. Now, most of the games that have a K in front of them, I'd probably stay away from them because they're kind of aimed for KDE. We're obviously not using the KDE window manager, but you could install it if you want. I'm actually going to go up here to the GNOME one. I'm going to mark that for installation. Now what that is going to do is it's going to also check everything else that it needs to install that. So I want to go back to sections and see games and amusement. So I'll show you a different way of doing this. You can select your category here. I really don't know why. They're probably just different, maybe different games in each one of them, or maybe different versions of each game. You can even get the Steam launcher on here if you want. We'll go to this one and see what we got all in here. Either way, whatever. When you're done picking out what you want to install, you go ahead and hit apply. Do you want to allow these changes? Of course we do. So right now it's going to download all the packages, and then it's going to install everything that it needed to install for those packages. Which it only looks like it needed one package to install. There are some that's going to need quite a few. Sometimes it may ask you, are you sure that you want to do that? Whatever. Yes, of course you need to if you want that package installed. So we installed that. I can go into the menu here, and right there it is. I'm going to close out Synaptic. Sorry, wrong one. We'll close that one out. So there it is. So that's pretty much it. You can right click on the background and be able to change your desktops. One of the other things you can do is go down here and modify your panel. I want to add an applet. Now Windows 10 has come up with virtual desktops, and I just want to tell a lot of you guys that don't know anything about Linux, that's been around for a long time on Linux. A long time. So I've got that installed on that desktop. We'll go to desktop 2 here. We'll load up Firefox. They just do it a lot easier on Linux. So I'm going to make this full screen here, so it's a lot easier for you guys to see it. I'm going to go to desktop 3. We'll load up terminal. Desktop 4, it's going to be my gaming desktop. Load up Mojang on there. Now I believe that you can actually give yourself more desktops as well. You can name your desktops and so on as well. There, I just added another one. We'll add another one to make it the same, or equal, you know, for the OCD side of you. There we go. So now you've got 6 desktops down there as well. So it's kind of handy for you guys that, you know, for like me, I usually have tons of apps open. So there you go. I think that's pretty much it for anything I really need to show you guys in here. If you guys have any other questions about anything dealing with LinuxMint or other distributions, I may show a few other distributions on here as well. But if you guys have any questions about how to do stuff, please throw a comment down in the comment section below. I will try to get to everything as much as I can. I want to say that's pretty much it. So I'm not sure what our next video is going to be. It may be a Windows guest in the virtual machine, unless I do get a lot of requests for showing you how to do other stuff. Oh, my next video is going to be how I customized my desktop the way that I did in some of my Kodi XBMC videos. That will definitely be my next video. The video after that will probably be a Windows guest in VirtualBox. So I think we're going to call it a video there and be done. So again, if you guys haven't done it yet, please like and subscribe. If you got any questions or comments or whatever, please throw them down in the comment section below. I guess that's pretty much it. Get out of this full screen, and we'll see you guys next time. See ya.